You've waited a lifetime to look better and feel better, and now here's your chance. Fitness Friday on WNDB. Call 239-0033 and have your questions answered on health, fitness, and a better life. Fitness Friday is brought to you by Bodez by Tasso & Company, 1140 West Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. And now, here's your host, Tasso Kyriakis.
I guess I better get that mic over. Oh, Dave!
You weren't supposed to grab it like that, Tasso.
And
the phone's ringing, and I got to get to that, and I got to help you. You know,
well, you know
you
what?
come in here and you tear everything apart.
Oh, man.
You're going the wrong direction there, remember?
Righty-tighty,
Righty-tighty.
lefty-loosey.
Right.
Okay.
Just get it to catch. You got it?
I got it to
now
catch.
don't touch it.
All right, I
Let
got
me
it.
get the phone.
All right. Welcome to Fitness Friday, and our technical difficulties are all behind us. This is Tasso Kyriakis of Bodez Personalized Fitness in Ormond Beach, Florida. And we're here today to talk about all the great things going on at Bodez Personalized Fitness, as well as your fitness and health. Today we're going to have a very exciting show because we're going to be talking to a friend of ours, new friend. I actually haven't met him, but Lloyd Davis is going to be calling in to us. And but before we do that, I sort of want to give an overview of what's going on and what we've talked about in the last couple weeks. At Bodez Personalized Fitness, we have now installed the state-of-the-art group exercise solution for people. Now that solution is called Fitness on Demand. And if you want to see what it looks like, you can go to Fitness on Demand 24/7.com. Fitness on Demand is a program that offers 122 classes that you can take at your time on your schedule, and you can take the class you want. You know, when I was teaching and running group exercise classes, you know, it seemed like you never got the rhythm to teach the right class at the right time with the right instructor. Well, think about this, Dave. Whatever your schedule is, whatever class you want to take, you can take that class on demand at Bodez Personalized Fitness now in front of a 120-inch screen. You can bring your friends, and guess what? The best part of it is you're not getting just a good instructor. You're getting the best instructors in the country because they're the people who are teaching the people to teach these classes. So if you take a Zumba class, if you take a body flow class,
Right.
if you take our attack class, here's the other thing I love about it. We're getting great reviews from our members thus far. But it starts with as little as 9-minute classes, our daily burn series, all the way up to an hour and 10 minutes of a Pilates and yoga class. So you have the Pilates, you have the yoga, you have the kickboxing. You've got all these different genres of exercise that we could never offer a schedule that was that efficient. But now it's offered, and you can come in and you do it as part of the membership. A lot of people ask, are you going to charge us more for it? I said no. As a member of Bodez, one of the things we have always done at Bodez is when we add new things, if it is something that's going to the general membership, we do not charge extra for it, okay? We allow our growth to take care of that. Now, there will be some special programs with it that we will charge, like for people to be able to reserve a week out and bring their friends at no charge, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sort of like the fitness party concept is what we're going to pull up. But right now...
Like a Botox party without the needles.
Oh, nice. So in honor of this, we're doing a couple things. Number one, we have still our program that's been a very popular special. $14 starts your membership. $14 begins your membership, and if you join the Bodez Coach membership, which is our supervised exercise, it includes your first month's dues. If you do the $14 promotion, you join our Bodez Express, which is sort of a more typical do-it-yourself kind of exercise program. Under that program, you do pay your first month's dues, which is $29.50. The $59.50 membership is where we supervise your program. You get one-on-one per month. You got our Body by Science computer key to work your cardiovascular. It's very highly efficient. Now, to get everybody excited about that, that's where Lloyd Davis comes into it. So let's bring Lloyd into the show. Lloyd, welcome to Fitness Friday in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Hi, Tasso. How are you?
Wonderful. Hey, listen, I wanted to get you in, so you know you're a brand protector. I told Rod Gould, I said you know that guy Lloyd really protects the brand. I said because I made a mistake in how I was saying it, and he straightened me right up. So we're going to get into this brand in just a minute, but it's very exciting. You know, probably 5 or 6 years ago, Rod Gould of Kalen Furniture brought to us a stressless chair. To this day, that chair is the chair that anybody you ask, say, hey, you like that chair? They go, oh, it's my favorite machine in the club. So we started looking for something to accent this promotion we're doing, to get new membership, to drive new membership, to drive old members to come back, because everybody's always looking for what's next and what's new. Well, this is the newest thing in technology and group exercise that we've put in at Bodez with the Fitness on Demand program. So what we wanted was something that was really cool. And we were sitting there thinking one day, and one of the members goes, "Why don't you give me this chair and I'll get you members?" And we said, what a great idea. So I approached Rod. Rod has become a sponsor of the Fitness Friday show with the Kalen's Furniture Group. And so with that said, let's talk about the stressless chair and this great chair that we're going to be giving away in about 12 weeks to one of our lucky members at Bodez Personalized Fitness.
I think that's awesome, and what an incredible opportunity for someone. These chairs are proverbially not exactly a cheap date. Of course, they're immensely well engineered, and they're incredibly orthopedic and ergonomic and all that. So for someone to have an opportunity to actually have one of these in their own home without the price tag, well, that's pretty amazing.
And so tell us what makes a stressless chair. I mean, because every person that gets in that chair, whether they're 8 to 80, whether they're crippled, whether they're athletic, whether they're perfect shape, whether they're out of shape, they tell me how great a chair it is. And this chair will be given away. We're going to have some other giveaways that go along with it. Every 2 weeks, we're going to have a giveaway of a gift certificate to area restaurants and that. We're trying to promote our members to get their friends into the club, and then when you join, you will actually get a chance in the drawings that are going to be going on. But tell us a little bit more about the stressless chair. I mean, if people have ever seen it, maybe they've seen it somewhere. I know people have seen it, and this is not, so people know, this is not one of those Panasonic kind of chairs that you see in the mall where there's massage things in it and those things dig into you. Let's talk about the stressless chair and some of the differences of it.
Well, when you have everybody has a different body profile. I've said for years that God gave us all the same parts. He just gave them to them in different percentages and in different proportions. So some people have longer necks, some people have longer legs, some people have longer torsos. And given those massive differences, when you go into a store, the assumption is that a chair is just a chair. That you'll just automatically, everybody be fine, whether it's a 5'4" woman or a 6'8" linebacker. And the answer, of course, is this completely ridiculous. Any more than a size 10 shoe is good for everybody. So these chairs are manufactured in Norway, and they were developed in Norway from a company that actually began production in 1934. That happens to be the Great Depression, which is probably the dumbest time to start it. But the stressless chairs do remove stress from the spine. And, of course, we make all different sizes. So if you do have a 5'2" person that's 86 pounds, they deserve and should be supported just the same as a triathlete, and have the same problems, or are likely to have the same problems from a physical standpoint, whether it's muscular, tendon, ligament, etc. So imagine, if you will, that the entire world, at least such as we know in America, the great concept of a recliner is you take an ottoman and you have it hidden away, and you pull a lever and magically it appears. And that, quote unquote, is the gift to mankind for seating comfort. A disappearing ottoman does not necessarily make it a good chair. It just makes it a chair that has a disappearing ottoman. The stressless product, they took the human spine of a 5'2" person that is 105 pounds, and they molded a chair to that body. And then, so it contours everything. It contours it supports your lower lumbar with a significant pronation. It supports your cervical with significant pronation. It contours to your laterals. The ottomans articulate so that your legs aren't flat. They're bent, so you have better circulation through your joints. All of these things contribute to better health. And keep in mind that outside of working out and yoga and stretching and Pilates, all of which are critical for long-term health, you better have a good mattress and sleep well. Because if you don't sleep well, everything else begins to fall apart. And secondly, outside of the 8 hours that we're supposed to be spending in bed, hopefully sleeping, then, of course, the next thing is sitting. And Americans are spending around 4.25 to 4.5 hours a day sitting in a chair, whether you're, working on your iPad or you're watching a series or you're reading the paper or whatever the case may be.
Well, the thing about this as well, Lloyd, is that for the last 2.5 years, we have talked a great deal, and I sent you a little presentation about this. And when I've gone out and publicly spoken to people, and actually I was talking to a friend of mine in Atlanta who is working in his business and starting to educate people, I said, we have to understand something, is that we now know in this country with relatively 99.9% certainty, although a lot of it is subjective type of referral information that we see, that inflammation is the number one cause of all degenerative diseases. That's whether you have Alzheimer's, whether you have diabetes, whether you have heart disease, whether you have arthritis, whether you have hormone imbalances, whatever it is from those degenerative type conditions. We know that stress is the mother of all inflammation in the body. And thirdly, we know where we come to the table is that we can reduce the effects of stress through an exercise program that gets people good nutrition, good aerobic exercise at a moderate level, strength training to build the muscle, and all that has to be combined with rest. If you do not rest, if you do not relax. So the name Stressless falls right into the perfect scenario of what we have as our monarch right now, our mantra that we tell people, and that's what we're talking about from the standpoint of getting people to understand why exercise is so important, not just to the athletes, not just to the bodybuilders, but to the regular people of this country that are walking around. In fact, I am more and more, I've stopped calling it strength training or weightlifting. More and more I'm trying to make myself consciously talk and say resistance training, because what resistance training, getting muscles that are stronger, is certainly one of the benefits. But all the other benefits of being able to rest better, being able to digest better, being able to move better, those are all parts of this as well. And I understand that Rod's really gone overboard on this. He's gotten us a very special, this is a limited edition chair that we're going to be giving away, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a product that we really loved in America. And, it's interesting. When I go to Norway, I've been there 26 times to work with the factory and to work on the physiology of the development of the chair, to understand where these developers are in their presentation. And a lot of people, of course, buy recliners for how they look. But these things need to be bought specifically for one reason, how they make you feel. And I would mention to you that the people at Kalin, the team there, they're very, very long-term. It's the most stable store that I have in the southeastern United States and throughout the Caribbean. So their people have accumulated a significantly excellent capability for precision fitting people. It's not a simple thing. It requires knowledge and multiple dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of training. But the chair that we're doing, when I go to Norway, I was going to say, they think of America as being the stress cauldron of the world, and they actually are correct.
Yeah.
We're bombarded from multiple directions, not to mention we have incredibly horrific food here, by and large. The mass production of crappy food is basically destroying people from the inside out.
Right.
But the chair, it's the Governor Senator series. It's one that we did very well with in America for people that were seeking specifically relief from stress. It's incredibly well detailed. It has French pleats running all the way around the side. Of course, it's a separate chair and an ottoman, so you can place the ottoman properly under your Achilles tendon, therefore getting the proper angulation for your legs. This chair is just awesome, and the only place in the world you can buy it for the last 5 years has been the U.S., and it is a limited production, meaning the factory doesn't really want to make them. And the reason is that they're very detailed. They require a lot of precision sewing work, and it slows down the production of the product. So keep in mind that this is a factory that's producing 1,750 precision stressless feeding systems a day, just in the chair factory. There are 7 other factories that produce sofas and love seats and sectionals, all of which have the same incredible orthopedic capability.
And it says I had a chance to go to your website. It says Stressless, the innovators of comfort. And
yes.
I want to go back for a moment to talk about the group at Kalin's Furniture, because we have an awful lot of pride in what we do, and very, really are driven by excellence, and I think that's a something that has made Rod and I really hit it off over the years. I mean, Rod's been a client for in excess of 20 years now, and he's stayed in great shape through that, and without injury. We've worked through any injuries he's got playing basketball and things. But the thing that I enjoy about, and it's sort of a funny story, but it was sort of an embarrassing story for me, because one day, one of our members, as I was working Rod out, one of our members has been a longtime member as well, says to Rod, he says, "Hey Rod," he said, "I understand that you're having a warehouse sale pretty soon." And he says, "Yeah, it's going to occur whatever Saturday it was that it was going to occur." He was telling him about it. And he said, "You'll get a little thing in an email to our loyal customers. We're going to send them and give them first shot at this stuff that's in the warehouse." And I said to Rod, I said, "So Rod, are you having like a scratch and dent sale?" Boy, let me tell you, he goes, "Scratch and dent." He says, "You don't build a reputation of quality with scratch and dent sales." He says, "That's the people in the yellow shirts." He says, "How do you exercise people here? Do you exercise people with, like balls and bands and stuff, or do you put good science into it?" It showed his pride to who they are, and that whether it's Mike Massey, that's his warehouse manager, or it's Lane Frazier, or those guys have pride in that business. They want it to look good, they want to feel good, they want to be good with their customers, and anybody goes there has an experience with them that is not, and that's why I'm excited and proud that they've become a sponsor of the show for this promotion and to help us give away such a great thing as a stressless chair.
Well, he's a real believer, and I always noticed that Rod was always well cut and well conditioned, and you can tell also from the way that people carry themselves that they physically are taking care of themselves. And unfortunately, in the world of stressless, not everybody that gets these chairs is healthy, and they want to maintain it. Some of them have simply abused themselves, not just physically, but internally, also from a psychological standpoint, stress, etc. And they're desperate to own these chairs. And at that point is really the wrong time to think. It's like closing the barn door after the horses have all managed to get out, But Rod's always cut, and he's always been very, very emphatic about talking about how the body's operation there has really helped keep him focused. And to be honest with you, it's, I think, important that we have those types of possibilities in our life where they help us to keep our focus. So, because it's hard, at least for me, it's hard with the stress of just maintaining a business acumen and running it to stay attentive to yourself for what you eat, working out, and keeping it in balance, along with your personal life and your time that you spend with God if you're doing that. So keeping it all in balance is extremely important. And Rod does an amazing job, and he's indicated that Bodez was a major part of that. Of course, Rod is an owner of the store, so they're there every day, and they care, and they care beyond just simply doing business, which I highly respect. They've been a distributor for Stressless for 26 years. So when I first came in from Norway to begin this particular distribution, they were the first two distributors in the state of Florida, and therefore in the nation was Kalin. So they are our oldest guard distributors. They're very, very, very good.
And it was neat. You talk about the thought about staying in good shape and stuff like that. I remember I put today a quote up about thoughtmanship, and it was have you ever thought about what's happy? Well, you need to think about what's happy, what makes you happy, just like you would think about running your business, just like you would think about how your family's going to grow. Because when you put your thoughts into action, then the action will change your life and give life to you personally. And this is, Rod is very thoughtful in what he does with everything, because he's really neat in the stuff he does, because he always has a plan, and he's regular by his schedule. I can tell you that Rod is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. He's at 7 a.m. and he's there, and we vary his workout for him so he doesn't get bored with it. But it's neat to see people that commit to that and work from that standpoint, and I enjoy that so much with him, and that's why we've blended so well over these years. Every so often Rod will tell me, "Hey, listen, this is what I want to accomplish," and then we put it all together, and boom, we go to work there. So I'm excited about this, and I had to laugh because we were talking about stress. My next guest is Dr. Fawn, because every third Friday of every month, Dr. Fawn, who is an acupuncturist, brings in a client that has had great results, and he works everything from cancer to stress reduction and that. And I happen to be able to look in the window that acts as a mirror, looking back through the studio, back into the parking lot, and I see Dr. Fawn in the parking lot doing Tai Chi.
Is he really? It's so funny. It's awesome, though. I mean, but he knows what keeps him balanced, right? And he works on that.
Yeah, but this concept of Jim Rohn, who's a great motivational speaker, and as a salesperson, I'm sure that you've had to go through some guys like a Jim Rohn or those people. But Jim Rohn used to say, we become what we read and think about and hear, because what you read or what you think about becomes what you speak, and what you speak becomes who you are in your actions. And it's so true when people want to change the health. And one of the biggest innovations, I think, for me, from the standpoint of fitness and health, Lloyd, has been like, people used to come to me and they want to go, I need to lose 50 pounds in 2 months. And I go like, well, how about we just change your lifestyle first? And getting better. And part of this whole stressless promotion is this is a step in making your life better. When you go invest in a stressless chair, you go home at night, and maybe it was more than the $899 recliner that you could have bought at, Rooms to Go or something like that. But you go to Kalen's, you invest in this stressless chair, and you bring it home, and you know what? You sit on that thing, and it's got so many little idiosyncrasies to it, like, how it slides forward when you want to push your hips, and the whole thing just sort of slides forward and settles you in ergonomically. It's sort of cool because it is such a comfortable chair. And I hope people will, if nothing else, go down to Kalen's, come to Bodez, wherever you want to go. We're going to have 2 of them actually at Bodez, I think, aren't we? Are they bringing
I
us
think they're being. I think Rod said he was bringing some new ones in today. So it's not the governor or senator. Those chairs are not in production yet. Well, they're in production, but we don't have them in the U.S. It takes about 5 weeks to get them here from Norway at this time of year because of the ice flows and all that good stuff. So,
but that's the one we're giving away. The governor and senator is the one we're giving away.
Yeah, the Sevener. And it's a medium size, so it's a delightful piece. But and I mean, keep in mind that these chairs not only fit the spine, but it's the easiest to function reclining system in the world. Meaning, you don't have to use any abdominal strength to move it. I think that's taken care of in your situation. When you finally want to relax, you want a piece that contours and follows every contour of your body and fits you immaculately. And keep in mind that these chairs are completely molded, so they're contoured in every way, shape, or form. Typically, when you look at a recliner, it has a flat back, it has a flat seat, it has flat sides. And I look in the mirror all day long, and I don't ever see any flat parts anywhere. We're pretty curved, and radius.
Right.
And so these chairs complement that, and the name stressless means that it removes stress from your muscles everywhere. It removes stress from your joints. It removes stress from your cardiovascular system. So, for instance, if your resting pulse in bed is 48, you fall asleep in this chair, and in 15 minutes you can have a resting pulse of 48. Wow. You can achieve the same resting pulse in the stressless chair as you can in your own bed. And many people sleep in them. So if they've injured their lower back or their cervical, or even if they have severe bad colds, they actually will sit and sleep in a stressless chair all night to garner relief, because a bed isn't really always made. If you have a bad back problem, which people can, laying in bed is not necessarily healthy, nor is it going to help. And then, of course, the next thing is psychological. When your muscles and your joints, your cardiovascular system are all being taken care of, the psychological benefits of relaxation begin to take over. So, even people with fibromyalgia pick these chairs because there's no pressure point. There isn't a recliner in the world that does that.
And I got to tell you,
it's not because I work for them. It's just the way they developed them in Norway.
And I got to tell you something. Now that you say that, the fibromyalgia is I think maybe the person who would fight for that chair the most is one of my members who has MS. And let me tell you what, she does part of her workout, and then she goes and sits in the chair, and then she gets up and she goes to do the other part of her, and then she comes to, and although I advocate to people, listen, being at Bodez for your workout is a 20 to 30 minute in and out the door scenario because we organize it and we're supervised enough. But I want to tell you that she spends a couple hours at the club because half hour of it at least at 2 or 3 different times during her visit is in that stressless chair.
That's awesome.
She loves it. So I can just see that she's going to be out banging on doors for you got to come join Bodez. I need to win this chair.
Exactly. Well, I mean, these folks, and if you talk to people that own these chairs, I never talk to anyone that doesn't love it. And the life expectancy is average 25 years.
Well,
some people own them for 35 and 40 years. And by the way, that's without repair.
Right.
There's nothing that you ever do to these chairs outside of put a little conditioner on the leather once in a while.
Well, think about this, Lloyd. This chair has been in our place for 8 to 10 years minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's been there at least that long, and I got to tell you, there's someone always in it. Now that's not like the home use you get. And if you look at it, you think people walk in and go, "Hey, is that a brand new chair?" If we move it to a different spot, "Hey, is that a new chair you bought?" It looks great still today.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, well, Lloyd, I appreciate you joining us. It's about time for Dr. Fon to stop his Tai Chi class and bring Dr. Price into the thing.
In your parking lot.
Listen, if you want to talk about a guy, our guest is coming in today is Dr. Price. He is the defending world and national champion in water skiing at 87 years of age, and his wife is 83. And if you see video of them skiing, they look like they're 30 years old. If you can't see who they are, and you just see the body moving. It's unbelievable how they move. And he uses Dr. Fon to, because they take a lot of dumps in the water that when you're moving at 60 or 78 miles, not that kind. I mean, fall down, Dave. They sit over there.
Well, choose your words wisely.
Okay, they take a lot of spills into the water. Okay. And when they hit that water, they're moving 35, 40 miles an hour. That's a lot. That's a lot of impact for them. And so.
No, it hurts.
Yeah. So.
I've done it.
Well, listen, Lloyd, we'll get together because we're going to have you on here. We got 12 weeks of promoting the stressless product and Kalen's Furniture. We hope people will stop in at Kalen's. And, I'm so remiss. I want to tell you that off the top of my head, the Kalen's number is 677-0001, but I'm not sure about that. But I know that the Kalen's Furniture is located on US 1. They'd love for you to boy, I'm in big trouble with that. I'm coming in and not remembering the phone number. But I hope you will stop by and see all the great people at Kalen's Furniture and thank them for sponsoring the Fitness Friday show, and especially thank them for sponsoring us to give us such a great gift to give away to our members with this stressless chair, the limited edition Senator's model that we will be giving away in 12 weeks. And I appreciate, Lloyd, you taking time out of your busy schedule to be on with us.
No, thank you. God bless you. And I really believe in what y'all are doing. I spent a lot of time to your site. Thanks for sending all the links to that. It's an impressive scenario, what you're doing there. And what you're doing will improve lives, and it'll help people to improve themselves, which I think is awesome. God bless you. Y'all have a good day.
All right, Lloyd. Thank you very much. All right, so Bodez by Tasso & Company. I want to remind you before we go to break and before we bring Dr. Fon in that we are now offering a $14 enrollment fee to get your membership started. And if you join with our Bodez coach, our supervised membership, the $14 will actually cover your enrollment fee, which is normally $199, and your first month's dues, which is $59.50. They're all covered in that $14 investment. So you're going to pay $14 and a $20 fee for your card, and we'll be off and running with your membership. Now, if you just want our Bodez Express, which is the independent workout program, what that is it's $14, and you pay your first month's dues, which is $29.50. So there you have the numbers. You don't have to call and ask how much is it for your membership. All of our memberships have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and Fitness Friday is proud to have you and invite you to come to us. We want to improve the quality of your life, and now we've done that by one of the most technological advancements that we've ever had at Bodez. We've brought back group exercise. We listened when people said, well, I want group exercise at Bodez. It is now there with Fitness on Demand, 120 different classes. We actually will be offering only about 70 at this point. But if you want to do one of the ones we're not offering, and you look at it and we don't offer because it has kettlebells and dumbbells and needs this, you can bring those from your house and do the class. So the phone number is 672-6464. Please give us a call, and let's get you involved in the program now. We'll be back in 3 minutes with Dr. Fon and Dr. Price.
Here are the contest rules for this Southern Stone Communications station. To participate, you must be at least 18 years of age with a valid photo ID unless otherwise stated. You or a member of your household may qualify and win only once every 30 days unless otherwise stated. Employees of Southern Stone Communications, their immediate families, and employees of other media, including radio stations, television stations, and print publications, as well as their immediate family members, are ineligible to win. Employees and immediate family of any participating contest sponsor are ineligible to win. Unless otherwise stated, all prizes must be picked up at our studios at 126 West International Speedway Boulevard, Daytona Beach during business hours. A photo ID is required to claim prizes. Prizes are non-transferable, no purchase necessary. All contest judging and decisions are to be made by Southern Stone Communications. All decisions are final. Winners and qualifiers will be asked to provide name, address, telephone number, email address, and date of birth. Your participation in any contest implies that you will provide information and you may grant permission to Southern Stone Communications to broadcast your name, city of home address, and your voice as part of our regular programming and on our websites. Complete rules available on this station's website or during normal business hours at our Southern Stone Communications Studios, 126 West International Speedway Boulevard, Daytona Beach.
Don't miss the 2014 Jewish Heritage Festival, Sunday, April 6th at the News Journal Center. Enjoy live music from the Goldovitz Klezmer Group, Tampa's Mike Eisenstadt Band, and headliner Cantor Bruce Benson. Bring the kids for pony and camel rides, rock climbing, face painting, and more. Plus, browse unique Israeli and Judaica artwork and enjoy a variety of kosher Israeli and Jewish-style foods. The 2014 Jewish Heritage Festival, brought to you by Bright House Networks and the Jewish Federation of Volusia and Flagler Counties. Sunday, April 6th at the News Journal Center in downtown Daytona Beach.
Call 239-0033 for Fitness Friday and your host, Tasso Kyriakis. Here's Tasso.
I'll tell you an interesting story about that. All right, we're all talking off air about all new technology and stuff like that. And so in studio is Dr. Fon, Dr. Lorenzo Fon, and Dr. Price. And welcome, Dr. Fon. What are we going to talk about today? Because we've had Dr. Price here. We've had him with the other doctor who was the surgeon that discovered acupuncture and is a strong advocate of it now. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Today, I think I would like to educate our community about the benefits, about the neck, the pinched nerve, spinal problem, and the sport injury. Because Dr. Price had hips and lower back, and he had a great positive result with acupuncture, and I really appreciate that Dr. Price as a surgeons and a medical doctors who utilize acupuncture for various reasons, and he and I will do a lot of community educations, and I really appreciate that for him to spend time to share with his personal experience, but also educate our community about acupuncture therapy, the benefits of it. And also, we want to take away the skepticisms. We want people to have a little more in-depth about acupuncture.
Okay. Well, Dr. Fon, let's get Dr. Price to tell a little bit about his background, because we know that he has a sordid history of background.
I like that sordid.
Well, you're a world national champion. Tell us a little bit about what you what your practice was as a physician. First off.
Well, I practiced in Northbrook, Illinois. That's where the power plate's made.
Does it really?
Yeah, I practiced there 61 years. But mainly, we're competitive water skiers, and my wife and I are the current national champions. And you were talking about falling. We go through the course. The boat goes 30 miles an hour. We have to go around each one of the 6 buoys at 60 miles an hour to make it through the course. And you fall at 60, you skip, no matter if you land on your elbow, your head, or whatever, you skip about 2 or 3 times until you get down, dissipate your speed down to about 32 miles an hour, and then you penetrate the water. But when you penetrate, it's like a quick stop, and we wind up with Dr. Fon, usually working on her back a little bit to get us back into shape.
Now, Doc, I wrestled for 30 years, okay? And
So did I.
And we have all this impact that we have as wrestlers. I mean, my neck is a mess. Dr. Fon will tell you, my neck, my knees, my hips are a
Doing all
mess.
those bridges to it.
But I wasn't very good my first couple of years. I did a lot of bridging. My freshman year, I was 2-22, my record, 2 wins and 22 losses.
Oh.
And my college roommate says, why do you fight so hard? You haven't been pinned, but people are beating you like 17-3 and 20-5, and says, why do you fight so hard? I said, well, because if I get pinned, that means that I got dominated. And he goes, Tasso, he says, haven't you learned yet? If you get pinned, you just tell them that you got caught with a move. I said, Dave, I'm 2-22. I'm an honor student in chemistry and biology. I said, I'm going to look pretty stupid if I say I got caught 22 times and got pinned. Now, what was your discipline that you practiced as a medical physician?
I taught at the University of Illinois Medical School. I taught anatomy and fundamental basis of medicine.
Right.
Fundamental basis of medicine is to take our very bright nerd students and say, this is a patient. You must treat them very nice.
And I imagine that has changed a great deal what those kids are taught through the years.
A little bit. When I was first teaching in 50, 51, 52, in there, just after the war, medicine and dentistry at University of Illinois were all in the same. You'd have two med students on one side of the cadavra and two dental students on the other side, and they would on their dissections. So they have changed a little bit, but they still give quite a complete course at University of Illinois.
And were you always, certainly a practicing medical physician to look into, and surgeon to look into acupuncture and acupressure and those types of things, and trigger point myotherapies I know you've gone into and looked into. It's rather unusual. Were you always this out of the box thinking from because class, if we wouldn't have this conversation 30 years ago in here because it'd be, we got some wacko coming in named Dr. Fon and he's going to stick needles in you. And you got to watch those Chinese and Vietnamese people because they got all these things going on. And, but today we look at it and go, look at the wondrous thing as we open people's mind. Like Dr. Fon said, we got to break down the resistance. We got to break this wall down so that we get people to understand that this is a viable cure to so much which would improve the quality of our lives if we would. But were you always this out of the box? Were you thinking?
Yes, through necessity.
Right.
We get beat up a lot.
Right.
So you seek the thing that produces the best results for you. And
Right.
that's why we spent all that time with as I've talked before about pressure point myotherapy. It's a first cousin to acupuncture,
Right.
and acupuncture is over a long period of time when you have a injury with acupressure. If we get banged out in the boat, muscle starts to tetanate and shorten up, we find the pressure point on it like Dr. Fon does, put pressure on it and re-stretch the muscle, and we can go out and ski again. But if it's a long-acting one and we really get beat up, then we have to go in and get treatment over a period of time.
Dr. Fon, I had a friend today that was working on my knee a little bit with me, a massage therapist. His name's Steve Shira. Told me he now has an app that the acupuncture point and acupuncture point and the trigger points are all identifiable. It's an app on a phone, and you can look at for therapists. You can actually turn the body. Like the charts you have in the office,
Right.
You can look at this thing. It's right there on the app. So so now there's some physician. There's some guy saying he's an acupuncture physician, and he's out there. He's got his phone out as he's working on something because he took a 5-hour course over the weekend. And now he's advertising acupuncture. That's not like you.
No. It's acupuncture. I think I taught so many seminars that Dr. Price know in depth. We lecture about diabetes. We lecture about high blood pressure. We lecture about necks, sport injury. But acupuncture is very, very complex and complicated. I think the app is useful if you can have like a headaches or some minor problem, and you look at it and you can perhaps locate that point and do some acupressures to relieve it. But in order to regulate or to correct the body, you have to have a complete knowledge.
Right.
You have to study the neuropathology. You have to study neurology about how each nerve innervate different muscles, what each organ produce. What kind of chemicals, enzymes, and how the brain and the body work. So you just can't look at the app and you know that you took a week over the weekend and say, oh, I know everything. No.
Right.
You have to study anatomy. There's 2,000 muscles in the body. You have to know those muscles. There's the tendons, there's joints, and each joint, how it works. So the ab is more superficial. But, it's like skin. You look at the skin and they have a rash and you say, oh, that's the rash. That's the
Right.
pressure point. But how to treat it, what source, where it come from, what organs involved. So it is good that people gain a little bit of knowledge about the pressure point, about meridians, about the channels. but in order to receive a true benefit or a maximum benefit, you need to go to someone who had a complete knowledge, a comprehensive training, at least 4,000 hours of training. For me, if I need a surgery, I don't want to go to a surgeon who just train over the weekends.
Right.
If I need acupuncture, I don't want someone just train over the weekends and do it.
That's a part-time add-on to their practice. This is your practice. It's like people say to me, well, why don't you do this and why don't you do this in your business? I go, because that's not who I am.
Right.
Who I am is personal training, taking a person who has history and injury and making sure and it's also taking the elite athlete and say, here's how I get that athlete to the next level. And, we started out talking about spinal and sports injury. And I think it's important to make a distinction. And really this year is when you made this distinction to me, because we were talking about members I refer over in the time frame. But what we talked about was when there's a traumatic injury, like they fall, they sprain their ankle, they, like so many of the athletes that I work with, those guys, you get almost instantaneous relief to them, probably in 90% of the time at least, I would think. How does that differ from how you treat diabetes? It's more of a chronic, and we have the inflammation to deal with, and we have the organs to deal with, and now it's more of even in the case of pain, if it's a chronic pain, it takes a longer time to reverse this process.
Yeah, absolutely, because as you know, a human body, we had about 25,000 genes. That a lot of people don't know that. 25,000 genes, 2,000 muscles, and multiple systems, organ, and let's say kidneys. Kidney, we had 1 million cells on each side, so we had 2 million cells to work with. So when I deal with, let's say, I only treat diabetic type 2 because number one, diabetic type 2 is whether you had insulin resistant or the cell receptors.
Right.
It doesn't work properly, or the pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin. So what we do is we treat the back. There's a pressure point along the back to regulate and manipulate the pancreas and also digestive system to make sure the GI system plus the pancreas working properly, produce enough insulin, and also regulate the cells receptor. But this is the in-depth topic. So when I deal with high blood pressure and diabetics, I think very few practitioners in Florida know how to treat those two conditions because, I train under five of my masters, and also I go conference every year, at least 2-3 conference to update on the research. So when you go to an acupuncture therapist, you need to know the background, the trainings, and ask what conditions they are successful treating. So when you deal with internal organ, it's very complex. But the biggest topic today that we would like to share with our community today is the sport injury. As you know, that we had a great success with sport injury,
right.
But I think there's skepticism and people not aware of the benefit of it. So hopefully, Dr. Price, as you know, you're an athlete, can you share with the public, why you should, seek acupuncture therapies, natural therapy before you look into like surgery or that type of
and before
care.
Dr. Price starts, I just want 239-0033 is the number. You want to call and ask a question to Dr. Fawn or Dr. Price, because we don't have a direct topic because Dr. Price has been here so many times with us and that. So back to the question he asked you, Dr. Price. But 239-0033, you're welcome to call in because we're happy to take your calls and answer your questions because that's part of breaking down the walls. Okay, I'm sorry, Doctor.
Yes, we get lots of injuries. It's not like sprains or fractures. Most of them are muscle pulls. They respond very well to acupuncture. While I'm on, I have to plug April 10th and 11th, we're inducting people into the Water Ski Hall of Fame in Polk City at the Museum and Hall of Fame for water skiing. And this year it's going to be Cheryl Orloff, who's the star of the Legoland show.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, she's the ballerina there. She does the swivel ski routine. Right. So she's the only one going into the Hall of Fame this year. So
wonderful.
Yeah. So, but it's we found good results, and you go with what you find good results with, and that's with acupuncture taking care of our injuries.
Dr. Price, there's a lot of younger generations, and then they play soccer or football or basketball. They injure sprained ankles or knees and hips. what would you tell the parents to, is it worthwhile to explore acupuncture?
Yes, because it's not going to do any permanent damage. It's not like going in and doing surgery on it. If you get response with a simple application of something that's 4,000 or 5,000 years old, that's the way to go.
And, the two big fears people have, especially with young athletes, they're going to be fearful of the needles, which there is not. It's the Dr. Fod likes to call micro-healing filaments, and the other part is that now this is really where that mystique or mythology comes. They go, well, what if they put the needle in and they hit the wrong nerve and they paralyze me? And it's very superficial, the stimulus that goes in.
As you trained surgeons, you know what to do. As a trained acupuncturist, we know all your nerve and muscles, but mostly the acupuncture is only touch the nerve receptors. Okay, so we because there are major nerve, minor nerve, and around the joint there is this mostly ligaments and tendons. Okay, the nerve is go wrap around the bones, and deeper. So. To answer that questions right now, based on the CDC, acupuncture is the safest form of medicines existing right now, and
no side effects except more rest,
and more rest, more sleep.
Now I'm going to give you a case scenario. I have a friend. He's a triathlete. All right, he has endured doing chemotherapy and radiation for prostate cancer. The first thing we have to understand about that treatment he went. Number one, he trains so much that he is very fatigued, and he actually overtrains. And he's a classic overtrainer in my thing, because I want him to listen to this show and understand this. The second thing is that because he went through this radiation, that he's made his ligaments much more brittle, much less responsive to any type of therapy that would be done to him, and makes him at higher risk if he continues to overtrain. So he tears a hamstring, quote unquote, almost off the bone. And I've been trying to get him to come to you because I feel like historically we have 3 professional athletes I've brought to you that their careers were over because of abductor tears, hamstring tear, and a labrum tear. You were able to restore all 3 of those to be able to go back and play. All 3, with the exception of one, is still playing at high levels in professional football, whether it's Canadian Football League, NFL, or that. We have Curtis Mitchell, who had a chronic hamstring tear. Now, Curtis is 25 years old, so he's going to respond a lot differently than a 50-something-year-old triathlete that's been overtraining for a while and had cancer and stuff. But how do we get that word out to people that, they're going to go talk to their traditional doctor and listen to them about, we might do surgery, we may not do surgery. We're going to try some physical therapy. What's the difference between physical therapy that they're going to do that's a lot of times is very passive in how it works with them, to get this guy back on track? What would you say to him?
There is a dilemma because some of the patient doesn't have enough or exposure to acupuncture therapy, and also educations, because unfortunately MDs, program, they don't have
a track to teach.
They don't teach about acupuncture therapy, and unfortunately they don't have that educations, so they can't refer out. But as a patient, you need to do some research. You need to go online, do research, and also, I have a folder of clinical research, lower back migraines or arthritis. So you come to my office and just pick up the clinical research folder, read up on it, and had a free consultation, do a free demos to whether or not you can handle the treatments. Right. And, because I provide educations, I provide free evaluation, I provide free demos. And I think our public should take advantage of it. And for his questions, acupuncture not only help you boost up your white blood cells, restore your body, but it also provides the relaxation. So he, like your friends, he had multiple benefits. But I think the fear of unknown. I think majorities had the fear of not know what acupuncture is about, and that's the question I like to ask Dr. Price. As a young athlete or a normal persons don't know anything about acupuncture, what's the best route to go about receiving acupuncture therapy? I mean, from your perspective.
Oh, from my perspective, the thing to do is go in and have a consultation. And actually, the filaments you use would fit inside the lumen on a 28 gauge needle. And a 28 gauge needle is a very tiny needle that you give a shot with. And
that's like the gauge that they do. The diabetics do themselves, right?
Yes, they do themselves. This is probably one fifth or one third of that size.
Actually, so it actually fit in the little hole of that, right?
That one is fit about 18, 20.
Really, 18 or 20 would fit it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So as Dr. Price recommended, I think it would be benefit from the patient perspective and my perspective is that you go in there if you want some educations, grab the folders. There's a clinical research folder that I print out for all the updates, all the research on acupuncture therapy. You can pick that up and read up on it, and then head in a consultations with me. I think that's the best way to approach.
So if you want to get a consultation with Dr. Fahn, the phone number is 615-1203, 615-1203. He is located on West Granada, 725 West Granada. He's right next to Loman's Funeral Home and across the street from the the development right across. I just forgot it. Just went my brain.
Is it King Cross?
King's Cross,
King
right,
Cross.
right across from there. And so you do need to approach from the east because you got to go down and come from the east. It's the first right after the Moose Lodge, and you know, Dr. Fahn is. I'm certainly an advocate now, but I think back of how much time we met at a Chamber of Commerce meeting,
2007,
and I bet it was 3 to 4 months of going out and trying the other traditional stuff to get rid of my injury, which I'd been suffering with for a year and a half, and then finally I came to you. In the very first day, I felt positive results. So I think it's very important that open your eyes, open your mind a little bit, give it a try. We guarantee there's no sterilization problems with the needles because it's a fresh needle every day, right? There's no problem with the pain of you're not getting a big injection. There's no problem that you're going to be paralyzed from it. None of those things are going to occur. The worst thing that's going to occur is you're going to sleep really well because that was the most amazing thing to me is that I slept when I went in there the very first time. And I know that I've seen people that they're in so much pain, so immobile, they can't even get up on the table to lay flat. So you have them in a chair sitting upright and they're able to get results. Constantly I see that from people who either have obesity as an issue or just are hurting so bad. And if you're in pain, number one, if it's just begun hurting, get to Dr. Fahn. The sooner you get, the sooner you're going to be out of the pain.
Absolutely. Tasso, may I interrupt you 1 second?
Sure.
I just got back from a nursing home. I do an outpatient care for stroke patients. I just dealt with many patients with, if you're in a nursing homes and you need my service, just give my office a call, 615-1203, and I can be there as early as 7. I usually do nursing home or outpatient care in the morning or after work because it take a lot of my times to go out and get the treatment from nursing home or at home. Dr. Pryor, you had about 1 minute to answer this question if you possibly can. It's a lot of people had even though that the arts of acupuncture is an art of science. But a lot of people out there, and I know there may be majority, maybe 40 or 50%, are still skeptical about the therapy itself. And some night I couldn't figure out the ways to let people know that it's a viable and is beneficial to the public. But how do we take away this skepticism between the public and the acupuncture itself?
It's a very relaxing therapy, as Tasso said. You lie down, you have nice music playing at the time, turn the lights down, and you rest for about 30 minutes, and surprising how well you feel after the treatment.
But what about the skepticals that they have in mind?
Skepticism.
Skepticism.
There's nothing bad about the treatment. It's a very, very sensitive, easy treatment to do, and the thing to do is come in and have go in and have a consultation, and actually look at.
You know,
don't
put a level on your pain when you come in, 1 through 10,
Yep.
and see if that pain level isn't lower when you leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I still recommend the best thing for people to do is come get a stress reduction treatment from Dr. Fahn, located at 725 West Granada. Phone number is 615-1203. We've got about 30 seconds left. I want to thank you for listening to Fitness Friday today. Want to encourage you to take advantage of our Fitness on Demand and membership offer that starts your membership for only $14. And hopefully someday we'll have you talking about the great results you've gotten from being with Dr. Fahn or myself. So we've improved the quality of your life. Come to me at Bodez by Tasso and Company, where you are today, and we'll get you where you want to be. God bless. Have a great weekend. Dr. Fahn, Dr. Price, thank you for joining us. And next week we're live at the home show.
All right.
AM 1150 WNDB, Daytona Beach, Daytona's morning news station, locally owned and operated by Southern Stone Communications.